Ready.
All right, I think we're recording, so I'm super excited to have Stephanie sharing some of her awesome tips and tricks that she's kind of picked up and it had some great experience with. And from what I hear, it's not as hard as it may sound. So she's going to give us a little bit. Maybe you could tell us about kind of how you got into coaching um, and why you like it, and then kind of dive into our topics.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm going
So
to mute me so I don't mess you up. So, okay, sorry.
that's okay. Okay, so I got started into Beachbody actually last year for the first time. There was a second time. So in 2017 is when I first said yes, and I specifically remember that night. It was Sunday because I was dreading to go back to work on Monday, and I was scrolling through and I saw your post. It was like the only positive post on Facebook. It's like, okay, I'm going to stop right here because I need a little bit of positivity in my life. And when I was reading it, it was like it was speaking to me. Um, are you interested in health and fitness? Yes, I am. Are you passionate about helping other people? Yes, I am. And so after I started talking to you and realized what the opportunity was about, it was just kind of a very natural extension of what I was already doing. I'm a registered dietitian, and so I already had that core like desire to help people get healthy, but this was a different way I could express and connect with people in a way that I couldn't in the hospital or the cancer center. It was a way to help people get and stay well, not just treat them when they're sick. And so it was exciting to really think about how that could just be another expression of being who I was. And I was particularly excited when I found out that coaching was connected to Beachbody because when I was in high school, my mom bought the Turbo Jam set and I stole it from her. And I took it to college and I took it to internship. And so I've been doing Turbo Jam for like 12 years and I did it last weekend too. And I love it. So I figured, well, Beachbody and coaching, that's a definite yes. So when I first started, um, I got to Emerald relatively quickly with the help of my mom and my husband. And anyone who's really thinking about how can I get to Emerald, really just dig in to your core. People, close family members, your mom, your sister, an aunt, a cousin. If you're married, your spouse. If you're not married, your best friend, or your best friend and your spouse. You have a handful of close people that will support you and talk to those people. And that's a real easy way to get to Emerald pretty quickly. And that's how I went about doing it the first time around. It was my mom and my husband. Um, and so I hit Emerald and I did get some customers, but I never hit Success Club. And I think it was the second month in a row of not hitting Success Club that the seed of doubt was planted in my mind. And I was thinking, well, if Success Club is kind of like the metric of success, and I kind of just latched on to that. I was thinking, well, if I can't hit that, then maybe I am not good at this. And I kind of that doubt crept in, and then I found myself um, looking out at other coaches and seasoned coaches and new coaches and watching them be super successful, hitting Success Club, and that just kind of compounded feeling like I wasn't doing this right, or maybe there was something wrong, or maybe this wasn't for me. So I had picked up that it's a numbers game. And so I thought, okay, if I'm going to hit Success Club, then I just need to talk to more people. But I took it to an extreme. So I would like invite 20, 30, 40 people and do that like 3 or 4 days in a row. But of course, that didn't work because when you're talking to that volume of people, first, it's really hard to authentically connect. You truly are very robotic when you're just throwing out that many invites. So it's truly a cold invite. Not only that, it's hard to keep track. Like, I lost track of who responded and who didn't, and of those responses, who wanted more information about the business and that type of thing. And so a lot of people kind of fell through the cracks and were left on the table, so to speak. And, doing that for 3 or 4 days in a row is exhausting. And so it was really hard to stay consistent. I thought I was being consistent because I consistently did that, work 3 or 4 days and then do nothing 3 or 4 days, and then work 3 or 4 days and then do nothing. Like, that was a consistent pattern, but it wasn't true consistency in the way of actually getting results. So that fear of failure and that doubt kind of blossomed into just frustration, eventual exhaustion, to the point where I just quit. I was tired, I was frustrated, and I felt like there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't make this work, and so I should go and try to do something else. And I wasn't an active coach for, I think, about 5 months, because then a year later, almost exactly, I said yes the second time. But during those 5 months, coaching is a part of who I am. It just is. And whether that's as a dietitian, whether that's with Beachbody, the things that make a good coach is just in me. And I wanted to start my own business. And as I was conceptualizing that, trying to figure out what that looked like, it basically had all of the elements of Beachbody. And so, thankfully, Susan, you continued to connect with me, and you would continue to just kind of sprinkle coaching here or there, but you were always connecting with me and being consistent and super supportive, whether I was on the team or I wasn't, whether I was, no matter what. And so when the flash sale happened, and I was like, well, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do the flash sale, win-win. I said yes to being a coach again, and here I am coaching. And looking back over that journey, there were three big things that I learned that have changed how I approach things now. The first thing is, I allowed fear to run my business instead of me running my business. The minute that I started to think, maybe there's something wrong with me, I'm not like Coach Susan or whoever, that fear, instead of staying focused on the activities that were actually going to move my business forward, when I took my eyes off of that and started fixating on the failure of not hitting Success Club or not measuring up to what other coaches were doing, that's when things really started to be difficult. So, first lesson, don't let fear run your business. You have to run your business. The second, I didn't really know how to describe until I was listening to a podcast on Tuesday. I was listening to The School of Greatness with Lewis Howes, which is really awesome if you haven't checked that out. But it was an interview with the creator of Fit Body Coaching, something like that. His name is Pedros. I don't know what it was. But he was talking about when people chase income, they never reach the full potential of what impact they can make. But when you chase your impact, the income will follow. And that describes what happened in my experience perfectly. Because in the beginning, I was all about impact. And that's when I was hitting Emerald and connecting with clients. But the moment that it became about trying to make money or trying to hit a number, when it became a list of people instead of connecting, my impact completely fizzled. And so the second lesson that I think is really important to take away is that chase impact and the income will follow. And then the third thing that I learned was that when the system didn't work, I Sydney's so cute. When the system didn't work, I internalized that as something wrong with me instead of being like, wait, maybe I shouldn't invite 120 people in 4 days. That's not effective. But I was too wrapped up in the fear and the frustration and being tired that I wasn't seeing objectively that I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong. I just wasn't following a sustainable system. And so, not allowing fear to lead my business, chasing impact, and really looking at the systems has completely changed how I approach things now. And so applying those lessons is really what I wanted to talk about, um, and enjoying the journey and really focusing on those core behaviors, specifically invite and how to invite in a really authentic way. So the first one, enjoying the journey. When I first started in 2017, I remember thinking, well, I don't have a story because I just started, and I don't have a rocket after picture. In fact, I still have a baby belly. I just had my son in April. Like, so how the heck is anyone going to follow me? I don't have this cool story. I don't have this awesome after picture. Who in their right mind is going to want me to coach them? But that was fear. That was fear running my business. That was fear telling me that I had to have a story to be a good coach. And that was fear telling me I had to look a certain way. And what truth tells me is that people are attracted to authenticity. They want to see you and they want to see the true you, not just coach you. They want to see mom you and worker you and dog mom you. And if you really love kites, they want to see the pictures of the kites you were flying. Like they want to see all of your quirkiness. They want to see all of your life. They don't want, of course, they want to see the products work. Of course, they want to make sure that they're getting a return on their investment, but that will come because the products are amazing. What they need is a person a real person, who's going to be in the trenches with them, who on those tough days when they don't want to push play, they have a coach who's saying, you're going to feel so much better after you do this. You're going to want to do this. Stay strong. You can do this. And they want a coach that when they do it, it's like, yes, I knew you could do it. You're awesome. That's what people need. They need someone in the trenches with them. And so I would just say, enjoy your journey. Bring people along with you, and you'll find that people are attracted to who you are as a person, and they'll be attracted to that energy and that willingness to help them more so than your six-pack abs, although that's awesome too. Um, so an example of this, one of the best responses I got on a post in a really long time was one where I was sharing my story about my struggle with depression and anxiety and how I got that under control. And I posted that not with the intention to get a lot of feedback, as much as I posted that because I needed to hear that 7 years ago. And I just thought, you know, maybe this could help someone who's in the same spot that I was in 7 years ago. Maybe this could speak to someone who's having a rough day. And it did. And the outpouring was amazing. I didn't even expect half of the people who responded to respond. The number of personal messages that I got of thank you for being so courageous was just like, I get emotional because it's something that's so important to me. But the point is that people saw me and they connected in a real way. And so and you better believe that they're going to be watching the journey now, and they're going to be watching how getting healthy helps my mental health. And if they're ever at a point where they're ready to take that step, I'll be there, and that's going to build the tribe even more. So be who you are, all of it, even the things that you think are quirky or too messy or too chaotic. That's who you are. Own it. Somebody needs it. So enjoy the journey.
Can I just say something really quick?
Yeah, yeah.
It is so true. Like, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, like I was having just a really, really rough time in my life, and I posted the world's ugliest, awfulest photo of myself crying, and I went into, like, man, life just really sucks right now, but like this is how I'm gonna get through it. And no kidding, that was like everybody loved it. It got so many likes on Instagram, and it was the ugliest photo, literally. It was terrible. Was so bad. But you're right. People totally, like, nobody can identify or relate to perfection. So like when you're raw and real, that's when people are like, yes, you have something that I want. And they
Mm-hmm.
can see themselves maybe in you where you were, and they want to be where you are. So I totally agree with that. And it can be hard because you think somebody's going to judge me, or they're going to think bad about me, and it's so not true. I mean, yeah, you'll get haters, but that means you're doing it right.
Right, right. Yeah, it's that fear again. Like if you allow the fear to make the decision of, no, I'm not going to post this, you're missing out on one of the best opportunities you could have possibly had. But if you set that fear aside and you're like, nope, this is real. This is what's happening today. People, you're right. They need that. They see themselves more. Yeah, yes. So that would be the first way to kind of apply that lesson. It's just don't let fear make those decisions. You make those decisions, and stay true to who you are. So then the second one is, okay, so you can be who you are. That content is real and it's authentic. But how do you move the business part of it forward? Because that was one thing that was tricky for me. I felt like it was an either or. Like either I was being authentic and talking about things not necessarily related to coaching, um, or I was working the business. And I had a hard time in my mind kind of putting those two things together. And I also felt, especially in the beginning, that there was too much to do. Like, how the heck am I going to do all of this in one day, plus work full time, plus take care of a baby, plus, the list goes on and on. But I realized, um, first, that I was over complicating it. I obviously I was overcomplicating it. I mean, I was trying to invite 30 people instead of 3. 3 is a much more manageable number. So in my mind, I thought it had to be something extreme and big in order to be impactful. But that's not the case at all. In fact, that's the complete opposite. So the behaviors are be proof that the product works. So taking that Shakeology and doing the workouts, personal development, invite, and then recognize. So with the proof that the product works, people are going to, even if you're not yet to where you want to be, people will notice a difference even in your posts. Like I was just talking to a girl from high school, and she followed a lot of my Facebook stories, and she said, I was never interested in fitness until I watched my brother lose weight, and now I really want to find a way to lose weight, and I saw your story on Facebook and I started following you after that. And I'm still working on some things. I'm still right in the thick of it. But the fact that someone saw me doing the process and that's what attracted them, that connected me to that person. And I was just posting it. I was doing my workout that day and I was posting it. I get a lot of feedback on shake pictures, especially when they're creative. Like if you put kind of crazy filters on them, or you make them bright, or have stickers, or like animation. I've gotten a lot of feedback on, well, what's in that shake, and that starts a lot of conversations. So, and it's just doing the behavior. Just I'm drinking my shake and I'm doing the workout and I'm just posting it, and people respond to it. So that consistency is important, and that I was going to do that anyway. I was going to eat breakfast anyway. I was going to work out anyway. So that being proof that the product works, I think, was one of the easier things for me to be consistent on, because I was determined to get back in shape. So that was an easier one. But
Can I say something on that too? Because I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in wanting to say the right thing or sell it in, you know, whatever it is, whether it's your workout or whatever. But like, every post doesn't have to be a sale, you know. I mean, like, how many people have you unfollowed that talk about whatever constantly? But if you are approaching it as a tool that helped you, and how did it help you? Like, I post a lot about if I'm doing, and I don't do a lot of workout posts anymore, but if I do, it's something like, man, I'm so glad I didn't have to drive to the gym today, or whatever. Like, these are the reasons why this is awesome. And so that people are like, I'm really having a hard time getting to the gym because my schedule is crazy. I saw that she was there. And I will say with Lift 4, because I have shown up every day doing it for the last 10 weeks, there have been so many more people, because I adopted my $1 million mindset. There have been so many more people that have been interested in Lift 4 because I show up every day. They're like, man, I watch your ridiculous dancing videos every single day, and they know I'm showing up for myself. So I'm not just trying to sell you on something that I'm not willing to do for myself. And there was a lot of people that were like, what is that you're doing? Like, and yeah. I didn't have like a huge transformation in that time period. Like, I looked essentially the same. I mean, I'm starting to get some bias now, but people have been interested because I've been showing up. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree that, like, first and foremost, you got to show up for you and share your journey, whatever that looks like.
It's like the showing, not selling.
Yes. Sorry.
And no, that's okay. Jump in anytime. Actually, like, after a workout, I did like a 20-second video right after I got done sweating, and it wasn't so much about the video as much as I was like, oh man, I'm so glad I got this in, and now I'm going to run and take care of my kid before I do dinner. And it just, the same thing as what you're talking about, was like showing why I loved working out at home so much. I didn't have to drive home from the gym and take care of everything. So yeah, the showing, not selling. So the second behavior, personal development, I have to say this is one of my favorites. And a lot of time, I know that books, reading, sitting down and actually reading is sometimes the first thing that pops into people's minds, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you're busy. I do a lot of my personal development through podcasts or audiobooks. If I'm in the car, I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook. Or if I'll take a break at work and I'll go for a walk and I'll put my earbuds in and I'm listening to my personal development. Or getting ready in the morning and I'm listening to the personal development. I have a library card, and one of the perks of the Maricopa County Library card is that you get access to Hoopla, and Hoopla has a whole variety of audiobooks and videos and ebooks, and so anything could be right on your phone. You just have to put your library card number in, and it's all free. So that's an easy way to sneak it in without making extra time.
Yeah, and I think like Military One Source has libraries too, like for military people to access. Because I know a lot of our team is that. And I will say that I personally noticed a huge difference in you, and just sort of like, I feel like you've grown a lot in the last 5 or 6 months, and I would say that you would probably attribute a lot of that to doing personal development. I know for me it was a big game changer, and in the beginning I was very resistant even though I love reading, I was resistant to actually making that a part of my daily tasks that I needed to accomplish. Because you know, 10 minutes a day, like that's not going to do anything. But it's like I've grown so much. Like I feel like I'm probably more busy now than I was when I felt busy. But I don't
Yeah.
feel stressed and overwhelmed because I've learned all of these tools and tricks to sort of help me get my life organized. And it is a process. But in learning, in reading and listening to personal development, I learned that it's a process and to give
Yeah.
myself some grace.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, absolutely. And I feel like one of the things that have helped me is not just exposing myself to it, listening to it, reading it, but also kind of putting a, a limit on it. So, for example, like I will listen to 10 minutes of a podcast and then I'll stop it and I'll think, okay, what was the most meaningful thing out of that? Like, what was, whoa, sorry, Zoom just popped up on me, but it's gone now.
Yeah, I was just saying that it was about to end, but they said, "Oh, you can do unlimited for this time only." So I hit okay. You're fine.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, that's okay. And just kind of like really thought about it because I feel like in the very, very beginning, when I first said yes in 2017, like I guess everything was really extreme for me because I would like, I gotta read this book, and I would read, but then I wouldn't really think about anything. Or be like, I have to invite everyone. So I invited everyone, and I didn't take the time to absorb it. And so every time I listen to a podcast, I'm like, well, what's the one thing that I can actually do right now? What's the one like nugget? And oftentimes, um, just to help me process it and also to share it, I'll think about what's something that I could share about this, and I'll just either I put it on a photo, or I like the other day I read a passage that I thought was really impactful just to share it. And you know, that's good information for anyone and everyone to know, and it helps me process it, and it helps me actually apply it. So personal development number 2. 3, recognize, I just gratitude is a game changer. And what I think I didn't do as much the first time around was recognize who I had. So I had some great customers and I had people who were supporting me, but yet I was focused on who wasn't. And so now I just, in the conversations that I'm having with people, whether it's fitness related or not, just trying to talk about things with them that they are celebrating and that they're happy about and what went really well. And then with their permission, in one of my groups, for example, Gary, who's my stepdad, just asked him, hey, can I share your journey and just how awesome you've been doing? And so I just wrote a post with a little shout out to him with how well he's been doing with his eating. And it lifted him up. And he was really excited. And he actually texted me, he was like, thanks for that. I really appreciate it. And when you start to take note of people and what they're going through, and then recognizing the successes in that, no matter what, it changes them. It makes them feel good. It lifts them up. And whether they're part of your community or not, doesn't matter. Like it makes a positive impact, and that's what we're here to do as a coach in the first place. So it just recognizing people and celebrating with them, no matter where they're at in the journey, is important, and it makes you feel good too.
Can I, sorry, jump in really quick on that? So, I think everybody knows, like a couple months ago, I decided this harebrained idea. I'm going to try this group, this wellness community. Anybody can come in, and I do some sort of like educational challenge or something once a month. And so invite your friends. It's a good way to network and meet people. So a friend of a friend invited this girl, and she's been using Beachbody. She has a coach. She's been using it since April, and she has not been working out since April, and her coach is of no help to her. She spent 1 week in our wellness community, and I'm not saying that I'm super great about, always having time and giving my all attention to that, but so my 1 week of the self-care challenge, she said she worked out that entire week and felt more motivated, more support in that week, that has like made her want to continue on with her journey because she felt good, she felt important, she felt like someone was asking questions or answering her questions and supporting her and encouraging her. And I don't even know her, and that's what she said, like, you don't even know me and you're like helping me out. And that's like, it changed everything for her in the way of wanting to work out. And she asked me yesterday, she said, hey, what are the requirements to get in your October challenge? And I was like, I don't have any. Like, if you want to work out, like, that's, and if you're doing Beachbody, that's even better. But like, I kind of have this, and it's a lot of people who are in Beachbody will tell you it's not necessarily right, but I'm kind of a, hey, if you want to come, I'm going to love on you, whether you're using Beachbody or not. If you want support, encouragement, and somebody to tell you that you can do it, that's what I want to do for you. Because it's not about the paycheck so much to me personally. And so she was like, well, my coach won't let me in her group because I don't drink Shakeology. I don't have that, so come on over and we'll take good care of you. Like, and it may not, I don't expect her to be my customer, but here's a mom who has trouble working out, who's not motivated to work out. And if I'm able to just like have her get over that hump to where she finds, you know, comfort in her own skin. I know she struggles with confidence. Like, if I'm able to help point her in a direction that she finds confidence, and what that means for her daughter, her kids, the people around her, like, to me, that's way better than a, $20 I made off of commissions. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's so much more impactful, like you talked about earlier. So anyway, that was all I was going to say. Is, loving people where they're at is where they come back to you later on and say, hey. And that's the thing too. I think we get caught up in the sales and we got to make Success Club because it is a measurement of success, but like really thinking long term about this business and the impact. It took me 2 years to say yes to being a coach and to doing Beachbody. 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, if Jenny Laurie would have quit on me before then, like, I probably wouldn't have found health and happiness in life, or it would have taken me on this whole different path that I wouldn't know about. So,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. And likewise, if you hadn't continued to connect with me and because I felt bad when I quit, I felt like I had failed, and I felt like I failed me, and I felt like I failed you, and I felt like I failed other people, and that was just all in my own head. You didn't do anything to make me feel that way. So when you still would message me and say, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, I love Susan," and it makes the world of difference that people that you take time to talk to people and connect with them, no matter where they're at with Beachbody or not. And I actually adopted that idea of the wellness community, and I would encourage anyone to kind of, if you are up for it, it's an awesome tool that kind of gives people a taste of what a challenge group is like. And it's I that's actually one of the things that I started. I have my main page, I have the wellness page, and then I have whatever challenge I'm running, and it's helped me connect with people in a deeper way. And actually, one of the customers that I got during the flash sale when I first said yes, I had been talking to her in 2017. So like you said, it takes people time. It took her a full year to be like, hey, wait, I'm actually interested in that. And I'm like, well, now's the time. It's a flash sale. Get on in on this. So don't give up on people. All right. And then the invite. Invite people to be your friend. Invite people to your challenge group. Invite people to the coaching opportunity. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, the national wake up call when she did the PB&J. I think it was 2 weeks ago. That changed everything for me. And I don't know why, because none of it was necessarily new. It was just how it was just put together in a way that I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. Prior to that, inviting people kind of felt uncomfortable to me. I felt like I was selling, and I didn't know how to. It just didn't feel natural, and I think people kind of picked up on that. And so with PB&J, if you haven't listened to it, you should go back and check it out because it's awesome. But basically, it's like a sandwich. So the bread, the first thing is that as you're posting content and it's as people are responding, you respond back to the people who are following your posts, and you basically just tell them, hey, thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate it because people don't have to. And the fact that they are is a compliment. So reaching out to them and just saying, thank you, I appreciate it so much. Um, and then the second part, or the peanut butter part, is to give them an authentic compliment. So um, I took her advice. I would go back and I would look at her profile, like a profile of that person that I was talking to, and just see what I had in common. Um, I know a lot of moms and I know a lot of people with cute dogs, which is perfect because I love both of those things. So it's really easy to be like, how old is your kid? Your child's adorable. Your dog is so cute. And just connect with them in a real and authentic way. Um, the jelly is the actual invite, and then a closing part is the last piece of bread. So an example of what I used recently, actually, um, was on Instagram, and this lady had a ton of food pictures. And as a dietitian, I naturally just really love food. So it was something like, hey, thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate it. I'm new to this, and so it means the world to me that you would follow my story. And I looked at some of your food pictures, and now I'm starving. Um, I picked one or two that I really thought were cool. She had like this really amazing yogurt bowl. Like, I would love to have the recipe to that awesome yogurt bowl. It looks fantastic. And then I transitioned over to the invite part, which was I'm always looking for people, which is, I'm always looking for other like-minded people who care about health to join our team and our online groups. If that was ever something that you might be interested in, I'd love to give you more information. So that's the peanut butter and the jelly. And then the closing part is to give them an out. So if not, that's okay. I hope that we can still follow each other because I love seeing all of your pictures. And people really respond to that. When I started doing PB&J, and I only did 3 of them because I don't want to overwhelm myself. 3 of those PB&Js, um, each day I hear back from at least 1 or 2 of them, where before I'd send out 5 messages and invites and maybe get a response, maybe not. Um, Not all of them have converted to a sale, and that's totally okay because now we're talking about something we both have in common and we're connecting, and I'm getting them into the wellness group. And it's pretty simple. I can write out a PB&J in 5 minutes, so I can do 3 of them in 15 minutes, and I've gotten my invite done, that piece of it done, and it didn't have to take a long time. So, and it just feels more real because you're actually talking about something that you enjoy, they enjoy, and it's like a conversation instead of kind of like you were saying about what your posts are like. It's kind of connecting with the why instead of with the product. So, um, other tips to kind of help with getting all of the behaviors done. If I have extra time, like on my lunch break or maybe on the weekend when my son's napping, I plan out the week ahead of time so I kind of know what do I want to focus on each day. It doesn't have to be a ton of posts. It can be 1 or 2 posts that I share in both Instagram and Facebook. and I already know what I'm going to put, so I don't have to think about content. If I have even more time, I have an Susan, you actually taught me this. I have my own group that my husband and I are a part of, and I basically just free write out ideas for posts, and then I just copy and paste them and just kind of, clean them up or put graphics or whatever. But it's a fast way to, I have a whole account full of posts that are already done. So worst case scenario, I don't have anything to say or post or what have you. It's already done. So kind of planning ahead, not overwhelming myself, one or two things, and then I move on to the next day. So that really helps me get my content out. Um, it can, only doing 3 peanut butter and jelly invites a day, that's 15 minutes, not thinking you have to do 1,000.
Yeah, I think well, the post ideas, like the Facebook group I have, so there are some days where I'm very inspired and I can, write out different things that are on my mind. And then there are other days where I'm like, what is today? I have nothing. My brain box is empty. So it is super nice to be able to go in and pull stuff out of, that. Or if I see something that someone has done and I'm like, man, I really like that, I will copy and paste, or I will share it to that Facebook group as sort of a brainchild for inspiration for my own similar thing. I don't ever really copy what people are doing, obviously make it relate to me and my own story. But if I see good ideas, or even if I see like a funny meme or something, I'll throw it in there on, again, one of those days where I have nothing in the brain box. I can just quickly go grab it. And I've gotten to where I've been scheduling out my posts because I'm getting ready for when I'm gone. So I've been scheduling out, okay, so what is my October, what am I doing for my challenge group? What am I doing for my free group or my wellness community group? Do I have all the content for that? And so I'll write stuff like I'm working on the end of October now, so that it's already just done and I don't have to think about it and I can focus on the present. So like in November, my free group is going to be Planksgiving, and I'm super excited because it's all planks and giving thanks. So for a week, we're going to give planks or do planks and give thanks.
I love that.
And I have some stuff that I got off of Etsy, and for me, an investment in having someone else do some of the work for me is for me time well and money well spent. So that's just something I do. Not everybody has to do it, but in thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to start my challenge group for October on October 1st. When do I need to start talking about it? Because people need to hear about it 3 and 4 times, because especially on Facebook, not everybody sees your feed, especially if you're not engaging with them yourself and having conversations or liking and commenting on their posts. The way that the algorithms go, if you're not talking to them, they're not seeing it. So posting sort of teasers, that is what I do. And I usually start about a week and a half out on a Wednesday. So I might post first thing in the morning, because I find that on Facebook specifically, people respond more when I post in the 5 to 6 a.m. window than if I post at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I will start with a 5 a.m. post, because when people wake up and they're scrolling Facebook, they see my thing first and foremost. So then maybe on Friday or Saturday that week, I post later in the afternoon. They have some downtime over the weekend, they're looking at it. So I'm posting either the same thing or something very similar, another jab, if you will. If you haven't read Jab, Jab, Right Hook, it's kind of you're given these little, like, even if it's a topic, like I've done, sugar detoxes. So leading up to that, I'm talking about the effects of sugar, and it's on people's mind. So I find when I back it up and I give it, a week and a half to 2 weeks of talking about whatever it is that I want to talk about, people know what's going on, rather than me just randomly posting whatever comes to mind because I have nothing else going. So I will strategically post every single day for about a week about the coaching opportunity. What does coaching mean to me? What did I do with my paycheck or whatever, for a solid week at different times. Then when it comes time, like, oh, by the way, we're having a, what is coaching, come join us, then it makes, people are seeing and they kind of know that. So that's kind of how I flow it. So I stagger my challenge groups are at the beginning of the month. My free groups are at the middle. So I'm going to work on people for about 2 weeks before the new ones start. So they're in my free group because it's free and they love it. And then I've got a couple of weeks of, slack before the next group starts. And then somewhere in between there, depending on when I do like a sneak peek, which I want to revamp that for us, but then I'll talk about coaching, for a solid week to week and a half. And it's made a huge difference because people then know what's going on. They
Yeah.
see it, even if they're not commenting or like
Yeah.
asking you questions about it, because I will see people that are on my Facebook, I will see them in actual person and they're like, so what's this challenge that you're doing? Like,
Yeah.
you saw my post? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But like the whole planning in advance, taking time, usually for me it's on Sundays where I will go and plan out what I'm doing. Now I've gotten into this habit. I have a calendar and I've been scheduling stuff within the wellness community group and on my like page. So I'm scheduling stuff well in advance and writing posts. So every morning in my little 1 hour block while I'm drinking energized eating breakfast before I work out, I'm scheduling stuff. Now I'm working on the end of October. So
Yeah.
like I feel better about being ahead than scrambling at the last minute. I have no idea what I'm going to post, and that it makes it more difficult to then invite if you're trying to think, well, what am I going to say because I got to sell something. It's the end of the month and I haven't done anything.
Yeah. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All of it.
But it's, I'll work on it here and there, and maybe on the weekends I spend more time, but usually it's, again, not getting so overwhelmed and stressed because I'm trying to do, write a novel in a day.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I'm not quite that far out. So I kind of take it at the beginning of the month. I'll look at the whole calendar and think about when I want to start a challenge group. Um, and I also work on advertising about a weekend ahead in advance. Um, so I have like the overall picture of the month. And then from there, I kind of like reverse engineer it to where each Sunday I'm just looking at the next couple of days and I'm thinking about like, what the themes are going to be throughout that week, whether it's a challenge group or whatever. So really, because I already have a big picture of what the month looks like, when I sit down that Sunday, it's much more manageable because it's a similar theme. It's just a different angle throughout each day of the week. And then I'll kind of, even if I don't write the full post, if I just kind of write some bullet points, then I can easily write a post off of what those main thoughts are. And that takes me on a Sunday when I'm doing that. The planning for the month takes me a little bit longer because I'm thinking about all of it. I'm thinking about the free group. I'm thinking about the challenge group. And so it can take me, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour. But then on those Sundays, it's about 30 minutes to just look at, okay, Monday, this is what I'm going to think about. Tuesday, this is what I'm going to post, so on and so forth. So it doesn't take a ton of time if I can sit down and focus on it and just kind of get the week taken care of. And then when Monday rolls around, I already know what I'm doing.
Well, and I think for me too, planning has helped me from just scrolling aimlessly
Yeah.
and being
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I found also I'll put a timer on so when I'm in my power hour, I put the timer on, and so for 15 minutes I know that my goal is to get those 3 PB&Js in. And so it helps give me a sense of urgency. I know that when that goes off, it has to be done. I'm accountable to myself and I want to get that done. And so that helps me stay focused on what's important. And then I'm like, okay, got the 3 done, moving on to the next thing. And then it's like, okay, what are the things that I'm going to be posting about? And, I take another 15 minutes to maybe flesh out that post a little more, find a picture, do the whatever. Um, so then when I'm done with that next 15 minutes, my content, 15 or, however long you want to use, once that timer's done, then that's done. Um, so I use a timer. It personally helps me stay focused because I also do the scroll thing, and that makes it feel overwhelming too because then you're like, oh crap, I've been on Facebook for like 2 hours, and my power hour I've done nothing, and then you're scrambling, and it feels overwhelming and frustrating.
And do you ever use like either on your phone, like the voice to text? So you speak in and then it types it for you, and then you can kind of go and clean it up. Because, like, the social team builder training, all of the Facebook and some Instagram training that I've done, that's one of the number one things that they recommend you do, because you you will then write as you speak. It's more conversational and people can relate to it a little bit better, especially if you're feeling inspired at the moment, but you don't want to go live or whatever, and you just like quickly say what's on your mind and just like have it all out there.
Yeah.
That they say that those, I don't do it so often because I feel like my speech is often like grammatically not correct, so I will go and fix it to
Right.
easier for me to type. But it is an effective tool to use quickly. If you're driving down the road even and something comes to you and you're in thought or whatever, and you can just, voice to text, either putting it in your Facebook group, your private group that you have for post ideas, or saving it like in their notes on your phone or something like that. They highly recommend that. And another technique that they talk about to come up with content is essentially like doing an interview, finding a partner and doing an interview, and then having that interview transcribed. There's some people on Fiverr who will do it really cheap, to go through and type it all out, and then you can categorize it and chunk it into a way to breadcrumb your story in different, I mean, it goes like from your childhood to, how'd you get into what you're studying, and your kids and your family and that whole dynamic. And so it's so much more than just health and fitness. And I think if I don't have it, I will put it in the Glad Warriors page, but I think that I have some of the interview questions in there. I mean, even if you don't necessarily take the hour or whatever to find a partner, which they say is time well spent and money to have it transcribed well spent, but and you could do it like this on Zoom, have somebody ask you questions, somebody that doesn't know you very well maybe. But even if you looked at it and you thought, I mean, I know for me it's triggered some memories that, oh, I could write about that or whatever.
Yeah.
So that it's not just, and for me, like, I'm completely out of my warm market. So I'm trying to reach people that don't know me at all, and
Yeah.
make them feel like I know her.
Yeah.
Like you do maybe celebrities, maybe you feel like you know Sean T because you watch his Instagram stories and you read his posts and you're like, his kids are my best friends. That's how you kind of want people to feel about you on social media. We're like, I know you, I know
Yeah.
everything about you.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Those are great ideas.
I will post that though if you guys want to take a look at that, if it's not already in there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I wanted to share. I know that some of the places that I looked for friend invites, because that was one thing I was like, okay, so the three PB&Js, but I also want to continue to grow my friend list or my follower list. Um, Facebook is more difficult because, like you were saying, that's a warm market. You typically know the people on Facebook. It's a little bit harder to reach out randomly to people, although it can happen. But Instagram is so much easier to connect with people that you don't know. But I also have a LinkedIn account, and that was one place that I would look through contacts and think about, yeah, these people that I met on the professional side of things at different conferences or whatever, that I didn't necessarily think about when I was thinking Facebook, that's a good place to kind of remember some of those contacts and maybe invite them to be friends either on Instagram or Facebook, or just message through Instagram or LinkedIn and talk. I mean, there's a messaging option there too. So, and that would be an easy way to start up a conversation, because you just see how things are going with them and their business, and that you have a business now. And so that's a real authentic and organic way to kind of start a conversation that has been helpful to me. Um, I live in an apartment. I know not everybody does, but I'm telling you, anytime I go pick up my Shakeology, they always ask me, what's in that box? And so, and when I'm carrying it to my door, there's always people who are like, do you need help with that? I'm like, no, I'll work out. Like just joking around with people. And it starts a conversation with people that live around us. And then if I see them again, like we now start talking again, like, hey, how's it going? You know, and just kind of start to develop those relationships that aren't social media driven, but you can connect with people. And then email list. I've had my email since I was in high school. And I have contacts on there that I didn't even realize I had. And so I've gone through my old contact list on my actual email and connected with some of those people that maybe I hadn't been in contact with, and try to find them on Facebook or whatever. So those are ways that you can try to find more contacts, so you can invite people just to be your friend. Instagram's easier though, because you can just see an awesome picture and be like, I love your dog, and then you're friends.
I will send messages to a lot of random people on their Instagram stories, like whatever it is, and it's a way to have conversations with people just because they're whatever doing it in their life, you know.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that have helped. Those are the big 3 lessons that I learned through my coaching journey: to not let fear run your business, to focus on impact, and if something's not working, don't blame yourself. Look at the system and reach out. Don't be afraid to say, this isn't working for me. Like, reach out to the group and to the team, and look, maybe if you're struggling in a particular area, try to find some personal development in that area and kind of help flush that out a little bit more. Just enjoying the journey, connecting with people authentically, and inviting people with PB&J. That's really helped me be successful in this next go around. And that's my story.
Yay! Thank you.
Yay! You're welcome.
Do you have questions, Luann? If you go down, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. I do. I have a couple. So, and they're simple, I think. So my thing is time. That's the biggest problem that I have. And so it's concentrating on what to do with my time. So my question for you is that I've looked at the Power Hour business tracker and you've talked about that a lot. But if I have a limited amount of time, what do I concentrate on? I'm trying to do that wellness group. I've been crappy about it. I'm going to get better. And I have my little challenge group that I talk to a lot at work, and I've been really concentrating on that because I feel like if I get really good at the challenge group, that'll help me feel comfortable in inviting people in. But like daily posts, I'm like, oh, I got my shake. How is this cool? You know, like what do I do with this? And so I just don't do them. And then outside of just posting daily, I don't know what else to do. Like I can invite, but I'm like, what am I inviting them to? You know, like I already have my challenge group. So those are the things I struggle with whenever I plan my Power Hour. And so my Power Hour right now, which is basically just doing my my little wellness community that I'm working on, and my challenge group. Does that make sense?
Yeah. First of all, it's so nice to officially meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. For me, what's made the most impact is, well, let me try and think here. So the first question of how to kind of, it sounds like you're having a hard time figuring out what to post on your main page. Is
Yeah.
that what?
Mhm.
Um, so I think about, um, a lot of times, like I think about what's going on around me, especially with the shake. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm drinking my shake, and what's going on around me? If it's a morning that I made it and I actually was able to blend it up, and my kid's running around, like I'll snap a picture of him and be like, thank goodness for mom juice, because kids running around. So it's not so much about the shape, but it's about like what's going on, or
Being a mom too.
like, yeah, it's about being mom, and that will connect with someone, because now it's not just shake, it's Luann's the mom, and this is what she's doing to stay healthy as a mom. Or like I'm shaking it, like, oh, thank goodness I have this shake because I'm late for work and I don't have time for
Right.
breakfast. And so now it's like, oh, she's like a working mom. So I like to look around and see what's happening in the moment that I'm doing that, and capturing something about that moment. Or like sharing a workout. I get stuck when I'm sharing the workout part of it. Same thing. I'm like, okay, so I'm doing a squat, and I like have the same moves that I seem to take the same pictures of over and over again. So then I'm like, okay, well, what's going on right now? Well, my kid's napping. So that's really great that I can work out while he's napping. And so I'll kind of take it at the angle of um, look how great it is that I have this flexibility. I can work out while he's napping. Or um, I posted right after I worked out, I did like a little video where I was like, oh, I'm done. And now I'm going to make dinner. And it's so great that I don't have to drive 20 minutes to get back home. And so it made it about that instead of the working out.
Okay.
And you just have to do maybe, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be about nutrition or your shake or your program. Sometimes it's a gorgeous day out and you took a picture of like the most beautiful sunset, and you're just enjoying and savoring that, and people will respond to those things too. And I just found that who if I don't know who to connect with or who to start having conversations with, I will interact with whoever is interacting with my photo. So even if it's not necessarily shake or working out, if someone's like, that's a beautiful picture, they like it, I'll just message them real quick and say, thank you. Um, I love the Arizona sunsets. Where are you from? Or if I do know where they're from, like, what's the weather like in Colorado? And that's where I grew up. So that starts that conversation that can become something more. And you're just posting once or twice on that main page, and then connecting with the people who are interacting with you.
And I think it's just life. Like, and it seemed, I know I struggle because I'm like, well, going to work, that's boring. No one cares about going to work. Like, what am I doing here? But even just, I mean, reading personal development and then sharing what you learned is a super easy post, because the majority of people are not learning and expanding their minds or figuring out ways to make their lives better. And so that's a super easy way if you're engaged in something, and something is like, I mean, I've taken pictures of like really profound thoughts that I read, and just like, oh, every night before bed I read. And then people will ask me like, well, what do you read? I'm struggling with this. And so you can offer tools that way. Or, I mean, literally it can be anything. I took a picture of my water bottle the other day when I was filling it up. I did a boomerang of the water bottle filling up, and then just talked about like how I was a Dr. Pepper addict for so many years that I probably went every day with drinking less than 1 glass of water a day, and the impact that had. It was like a stupid picture of water bottle, you know, like, so it can literally be anything. It doesn't have to be all health and fitness. It doesn't have to be, and I will tell you, I get the most reactions and comments when I post like stuff about my husband and my marriage. People are very engaged in that and they want to know. And I feel like all of that goes hand in hand, because certainly finding my health and fitness and nutrition strengthened my marriage significantly, because I got more confident and felt better, and it's something we do together. And so just sharing even that aspect, or how do I juggle living apart from my husband and dealing with deployments and blended families, and like it could be anything that people might identify with. Or maybe you find like a super easy way to make a meal on your Instant Pot and you share that. Like it could be anything.
Okay.
I get a lot of responses with my kiddo, or things that I'm doing with, like, if we go to the park, posting pictures of him with the soccer ball and just saying how grateful I am to be able to be well enough to play. Or like if I'm introducing different Pinterest activities, I'll post those things on there, like the sensory bags, and just, I'm glad that I'm not so exhausted that I can't interact with my, like things like that. I get a lot of good responses with my kiddo.
Okay.
The other thing I think that has made the most impact is, if you don't do anything else, just talking to people. It doesn't even have to be necessarily inviting them, but just talking to people. Even if it's starting a conversation with someone you haven't talked to in a while, just checking in with them, saying hello. Because I found that, well, not only, like you were saying, Susan, the algorithms, if you're interacting with them, they're going to see your posts. And then if you're posting about your life and they connect with that, then that just kind of builds momentum. But not only that, but it starts to plant seeds too. I know that when people reach out to me, I'm much more apt to start interacting with them too. And so just talking, even if it's just, I'm going to start 3 conversations today and just see how people are doing, or compliment something on their page. That moves the business forward, because you're planting those seeds and you're building a community, and it doesn't even have to be about Beachbody. It's just interacting with people.
So do you guys reply whenever I first did that initial post and hit Emerald, and I was really, really involved and a lot of people were messaging me? The problem I had too was that whenever I go to work, I am not on Facebook or my phone. Like, I'm tied up in work all day long. Sometimes I get time at lunch. But there was a huge lapse in time that I was responding, and I felt bad, like I felt like I was letting them down. Mm-hmm. And then I did start to feel burnout too, because I was staying up till 11 at night and I was getting up at 4 in the morning, and I was trying to juggle all of it.
Well, and I think, like, even if you took that as an opportunity, even if you broke it down in like the three a day, like she was recommending, to not feel the burnout.
Yeah. Okay.
So much. And I don't think that you should feel super obligated in time passing. I struggle with that, because I personally, like, if I ask a question, I want the answer immediately. So I tend to be that way. But most Beachbody coaches will tell you, successful ones, that they have set business hours, and they just let people know, I will be getting back to you from this time to this time, and this time, like whatever your business hours are. And then that's just a, line in the sand that you have, or a rule that people come to respect and understand, and it's not a bad thing. People have their lives too. I don't think anybody would say, oh, anything bad about that. And there are some times where I don't respond to everybody who's commented or whatever. I try to catch up when I can, and sometimes it's a couple of days later. But what that does is that teases the algorithms, so that you show back up in their feed later on. So even if it's been a couple of days, now they're going to see something new that you've posted. I do that on Instagram a lot. So it's kind of the same way where if you're engaging with people, they show up in your feed. So maybe I don't go and comment right away, maybe in a couple of days, because then they will either go back and see what I'm doing or it will show up. So I don't think that, like, obviously getting stressed about it serves no positive purpose. And just allowing yourself grace that, like, you're on this journey, you're trying to help people that go with you, and obviously you're targeting more than likely people who are just as busy as you. That a lot of times when I do engage with people, they will say, oh my gosh, like, that's so sweet of you. I didn't expect you to take time out to respond to me or whatever. Like, but when you do, it obviously makes them feel good that you said thanks. Sending happy birthday messages are an easy way to connect with people you haven't talked to in a long time. Because that's the thing, especially on Facebook. People are like, oh, she's selling something. I haven't talked to her since high school. What are you selling? What group are you adding me to? But just saying happy birthday is a super easy, non-threatening thing. Yeah. So almost every day I make that a priority to at least do that.
That's good to know, because I mean, you are so responsive, and that's one of the things that I liked the most about you, and that you're so helpful, that I was like, I don't know if I can do this, because I can't be responsive like Susan is,
Well, and the other thing too, like, I mean, you may be experiencing a time of just a busy season. So trying to take on a challenge group of your own, or even a wellness community, you may not be in the position to do that, and that's okay. I've tried a lot of things that just didn't work, and I had to go back to the drawing board and be like, well, that sucked. How can I make this better? And so what I like about having the team dynamic is that you don't have to do it alone. When I was feeling overwhelmed like that, I found Katie Redden, and we would run challenge groups together. So we would come up with a posting schedule. She'd do half of it, I'd do the other. If I happened to be busy, she picked up where I left off, and it wasn't I had to go at it alone, because there are a lot of days that I just face and I forget to check in every night or whatever. I mean, ideally you want to get a really engaged group so they're just doing it without you prompting them, but that doesn't always happen. A lot of times you get crickets and nobody's saying anything because they're just creeping on the feed and they're not engaging. But if you enter into a partnership, or you have a group of coaches, even just having other coaches involved makes it so much easier, because they are engaging, which leads other people to kind of tiptoe in and want to be engaged, or at least it looks like it's active. And nobody's going to take that first step and, like, this is me in my after photo. Like, nobody's going to do that on their own. Like, somebody has to step forward, and utilizing other coaches who've kind of either gone through hurdles, or they kind of understand, or obviously it's their business and they're trying to do better, makes it so much easier. So I think, especially for me, looking back, that was a big thing for me in trying to build a team, was just leaning into the resources and utilizing them, and realizing I don't have to do this all on my own, because it is a lot. It is a lot to try to do 3 different groups, and you got to invite, and you got to think of something to post and whatever. And so maybe you take a step back and say, like, okay, well, running a challenge group on my own or whatever, or even the wellness community, you have to decide, like, is it working or is it not? For me, the wellness community works very well. So I feel like it's worth the time that I invest in it. But if it's not doing it, and sometimes you have to give things time to see if it actually works. But it might be beneficial to even find either somebody on the big team, or even on our team, that you could run challenge groups together, or 2 or 3 of you, so it's not you're out on an island on your own. And 2, it brings in, like, for me, having co-coaching with someone brings in, like, a breath of fresh air too. It's like a different perspective than maybe what I have or my experience, and so I can learn something from the other person too, or see how they've been doing it. So That was a big thing, was finding my success partner, which when I first started was Katie Redden. Now it's Rachel Bodine, but we don't run groups together so much. Anyway, just
that helps. Because just talking to you girls makes me realize that I'm not necessarily failing, you know, it's just figuring out what works.
Yeah.
And it is like an old trial and error thing, probably for as long as you will be a coach. I mean, there's seasoned coaches who did really well, and then all of a sudden things change and what they were doing, Facebook wasn't working anymore. They had to learn how to do Instagram.
Right. Okay.
One thing I had heard, I forget which national wake-up call it was, but the coach that was speaking, she worked long hours as a dental assistant, and so she said she had a hard time reconnecting with people too. And what she ended up doing is, if she was running a challenge group, what she would do, and it was her and her team, so it wasn't just her, they put together kind of like the flash sale, kind of, that's what it reminded me of, but they put a group together that explained everything that you would explain in a message. So what is the challenge group? What do you get with the challenge group? Maybe the before and after pictures are in there, or the trailer of that particular program, or Beachbody On Demand, or whatever. All of that information is in that group. So if somebody is interested, you can say, awesome, I'm going to add you to this group. Take a look. Let me know what you think. I'm at work. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That way, you're being responsive. You're giving them information, but you don't have the pressure of time. And she said that was something that helped.
So okay. With that Lift for, like the info group that I
yeah.
It was inspired by that call where I was like, hey, I'm just gonna throw this out there and see if it sticks. And for me, it was very, very easy to make a sale, because first of all, you hyped up anybody who got a challenge pack or got on board, which then it like leads to creating FOMO, and they're like, oh my gosh, so and so is doing this, I need to do it. My only regret in that is that I wish I had spent a couple more days planning for it, so that all of you guys had more time to sort of utilize it for the tool that it was. But I will most definitely, and that's something to think about, because October 1st, Chris Downing, the relaunch of Shift Shop Proving Grounds is coming up. So we can create an information group similar about that program, because if you sign up as a coach to do that program, you get in the group with Chris Downing, and he's like an amazing motivator. I got my very best results from Shift Shop in 3 weeks of all the programs I've ever done. And I cried several times in that program. It was so good, and it was so fun to do together, kind of like how Lift 4 is. But so we create this information group, and it cut down on the back and forth when people were like, well, how much is this, and why do I need Shakeology? People were like, oh yeah, I want this, the all access challenge pack, and I want the chocolate Shakeology. And that was the only thing I had to do, was add them to the group, and then they went through the units and figured out what they want. So I will most definitely utilize that. And those groups are still open. Like, you still have, there's one for 2B Mindset, and then there's actually 2 for Lift 4, but you can do that anytime if somebody wanted information, and we could create it for anything you guys feel like we want to do. We can create that, because it is simple. A simple way to have all of the information there and set up in units so that they can go through. When it's live, it's a little bit more effective, I think, in the discussion feed, because again, you get the engagement of other people posting like, I just did this workout, and that's really fun. But at least for information sharing purposes, if people have questions, here's my info group. And the nice thing about that too is then they're in a group. So when you're going to follow up, if you're terrible like I am at writing down who's interested in what, you go back to the group and you're like, oh, I need to follow up with so-and-so because they didn't buy it and we're starting round 2. Hey, do you want to get on this? So it made it easier for me for follow-ups, because I'm not always, I work a lot when I'm, you know, in between. I'm terrible at follow-ups, so.
And that helped me greatly because they ask questions and I'm like still trying to learn the coach office, you know, and so I'm like fumbling through things. It takes me so much time that I don't have. And so it's like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah, so that's something I'll start working on because we'll need to start advertising that probably this next week for Shift Shop. So my plan personally, because I'm doing round 2 of Lift 4, hold on. So my plan personally is I will be doing a Shift Shop. I will do Shift Shop starting November 5th because I will be done with Lift 4. So my challenge group, Make the Shift, is going to start November 5th. And I will be, but October 1st, the program comes out. So we could definitely use the launch to our benefit. And that was another thing that one of the Natural Wake Up calls was talking about. And I was guilty of this, trying to, like, there's so much out there. You can get intimidated because it's like, there's this program and that program, and I really want to do this. And for me, it was Lift 4 and To Be Mindset coming out at the same time and being like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I got to sell a bunch of To Be Mindset because everyone else on the team is selling a ton of To Be Mindset, and it's a great program. But for me personally, I'm so much more passionate about Lift 4. That's the program that I'm doing. I'm following that meal plan. I'm not doing To Be Mindset. So when I shift my focus to do, like, advertise what I'm doing, I ended up finding a bunch of people who were like me that wanted to do Lift 4. So my group was so much more engaged. My To Be Mindset group, I sold probably 5 or 6, just that, not the workout program, challenge packs with Shakeology, and my challenge group was dead. Nobody talked about anything. No one shared what they were doing. Whether they looked at the post or not, I have no idea. But it was like a completely dead, pointless thing. But like every day, essentially, my Lift 4 group runs itself because I found my people, you know, and something that I'm passionate about. So it makes it easier to want to go in. So when you have new launches or whatever, you kind of just have to figure out, well, is that going to work for me? Is that what I'm doing? You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. You can certainly use the hype and all the products and tools that Beachbody gives you with that. Because a lot of times they'll do, you know, giveaways and sweepstakes and, you know, opportunities to win things. But you can take a step back and be okay. Like, I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to find people who want to do what I'm doing with me. And so I think like closing, narrowing, putting my blinders on made a big difference for me in like not having time to do everything.
Okay. I think I'll do that too then.
So I can start working on content. More than likely, Corey will probably do a Shift Shop group come October 1st. And usually what I do is I get involved and I use that hype and I whatever, but then I will recreate whatever she's done in my own thing. So if she does videos, I'll recreate essentially the same informational videos and do my own. So what I probably will do is anyone come October 1st that wants to get in on what she's doing, I'll throw them in there and I will help them and I will support them. But come November 5th, when I get ready to start it myself, I'm going to do all the hype all over again for what I have going on. And utilizing the big team resources, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that's where, I mean, it's just time you don't have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Corey, that's her job. She has an assistant that makes graphics and does stuff, and you know, so like, why not utilize that benefit? And she's also obviously really good at what she does, and in her groups, it creates a ton of FOMO because there's so many more people, you know,
right?
So utilizing that resource. But then we'll definitely have an info group. Same with Sean T's program. When it comes out in January, we'll have, you know, get in on this. And I do like the info group, so I will continue to do those because I think it's so much easier.
And that made me think of something, Luann. In the big group, they have a posting schedule. Like every day there's a topic for something to post. So if you are running out of ideas, you can just look at that calendar and it's random things like Wacky Wednesday or Throwback Thursday, and it at least gives you a starting point as to what to post if you're just like I don't know.
Awesome. What big group?
So in the Arete page, she does a monthly calendar that shows like when the team put in their ideas. A lot of times I'll reshare it in our team page just because it has good ideas on what to post, you know, on like Friday night or Saturday night. Like one of the ideas is to post about date night. It'll cue you to shout out a challenger or a fellow coach. Transformation Tuesday is always an easy one. And those get so good response, really. Transformation Tuesday. I just incorporated like Tuesday, it's going down. Because it's really a great way to either shout out a coach or, you know, a challenger or whatever in their progress. Yeah, so if October, no. If I'm pretty sure I put it in the Glad Warriors. Like if you look under the photo should be in there. It's essentially the same every month, except for she'll put in there when the coach sneak peek is going to be, so you can plan backwards. Usually I do try to take advantage of it because it is the big team, and I will invite to that and use that just because it's so much easier to strengthen numbers kind of thing. And especially when I first started, and it's like, well, I didn't have weight to lose. I was kind of into fitness before because I was a CrossFitter. So anyway, it's nice. And obviously I don't make a gazillion dollars doing Beachbody. I have this whole other thing. So like talking about that part of it is not really, but there's people who've, you know, overcome depression and anxiety, got off diabetic medication, lost 100 pounds. So like utilizing their stories is like really lean into that. That's like the whole beauty, I think, of our team, because no one's going to try to steal a sale from you. Everybody's very genuine and wants to help you out. And then you could maybe even find somebody who's like you, like Katie Redden and I did, like to run challenge groups with you and to like help you push for that next rank advancement or whatever your goals are. If you want to be, you know, a Success Club All-Star or All-Star Legend, or you want to earn whatever the Success Club trip in 2020 is, like, then you have someone to hold you to it. And like, you know, or if you're just like, oh my gosh, I am so sucking in my business right now. I hate doing invites. They're the worst. Your success partner comes to you like, I know, but you have to do them. Remember what your goals are. You really want to, you know, go on this paid cruise with your husband and kids and, you know, have all the dessert and see the Bahamas or whatever. Like whatever it is, that person's going to come to you and like, you know, bring you back to reality. Because there's lots of times where I'm like, I should quit. I suck. No one likes my post. I keep posting and no one's listening. And then Katie would be like, listen, no. So I highly recommend finding someone. Katie and I, we're not necessarily success partners, but we still talk daily. Our kids are very similar in age, similar backgrounds. So like, if I'm like, this blended family thing, like I can't take it anymore. I'm having to choose between my husband and my kids, and this is terrible. Like she's been there. So it's nice to find somebody just to do life with, but then to kind of remind you when you feel like you suck and you're a failure. So anyway, I got on a soapbox for really long. And I should let you guys go. Do you have more questions?
No.
I really am excited about having these calls every couple of weeks to just kind of shoot the breeze and, you know, find out what's working, what's not. And we went really long because it was like kind of our first real one. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephanie, for taking time out to give us all of your little nuggets of information. It was so good. I loved it. And I'm super
Thank
excited that you're back, because every time you post, I'm like, why is she not still coaching? Like, she's such a great coach. I miss her and all of her bubbly stuff on the team, just you and all of you. So thank you for putting all that stuff together to help us. And I guess I can stop the recording, but anyway, if you guys need anything, you know where to find me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.